be a game changer. But before I do that, let me first start by introducing myself. I'm a lecturer at one of our local universities. I'm into banking and finance. That's my specialty. And some of you might be wondering why it is doing at the Python conference. We can never learn enough. And Python, I think, is a multidisciplinary programming language which can be used for any field, any time. My presentation overview, some of the things that I'll look at as an introduction. I'll touch a little bit on information technology revolution. Then I'll touch on the data analytics maturity model, then I'll conclude my talk. I think I'll be here for the next 10 or so minutes only. There are a number of data analytic careers that we are all sorting after. I'll talk about that. Then I'll also talk why Python is becoming a language of choice. And lastly, I'll talk about machine learning and why it's a necessary skill that we all have to be having. You'll find there are so many careers when it comes to data analytics, data science, machine learning. You can cut across a broad range of careers, ranging from data analyst, being a data analyst. You can be a financial analyst, like what I'm doing. I want to try and incorporate Python into finance, become a financial analyst. I know from our field we've got relevant programs like CFA, Chartered Financial Analysts, to do with risk, but if we embrace such languages like Python, I think our analysis will be better, and if we embrace such technologies, things will go on. You'll notice there's a big paradigm shift in the way we embrace technology. I was happy when we presented talking about change in technology, taking us from prehistoric phases to the current phases. You'll find that today's organizations are more of data-driven organizations. They are more of data-driven organizations. People learn out of data because it is, extract valuable information, make the best decisions. You find the times that human decision making is erroneous sometimes. People are bound to make mistakes, especially when they're faced with complex scenarios. And if you embrace technologies like artificial intelligence, for example, use of artificial neural networks, deep neural networks, and so many other machine learning programs, we are bound to make better and informed decisions. And we have also minimized on the risk aspect when it comes to our decision making. So I'll touch more as well on the Python ecosystem. Maybe as a brainstormer, we've got a number of libraries that we can look at, from NumPy, SciPy, Panda, Scikit-learn, IPython, Matplotlib for visualization issues, states model for those who are from the statistics background, Beautiful Short, Network X, Natural Language Kit, JXC, PyPy. There are so many. It's quite a broad ecosystem, but the key thing is you should know which package to use and for whatever purpose it is. The other thing that is happening in the technology world is we are facing a technological revolution where we used to battle with storage facilities. Nowadays we've got increased storage capacity. Talk of cloud computing, talk of super hard drives. I think I've given an example of Samsung solid state drive, which can host about 16 terabytes of data. We've got vast amounts of data. But the key thing is, what can we do with that data? You will find most of our work is more of descriptive in nature. We report on past performances, we report on past works, but we cannot predict into the future. The adage that we are moving into is we need to make inferences from past historical trends and refer into the future. That's why machine language techniques, Python programming as a language is part of it, and other corresponding or supporting languages will take us far in this field of machine learning. And a very key thing that we should also take cognizance of is every organization, if they are not only to survive, but to excel in this world full of data, in this world which is data-driven, they must embrace data extraction technologies. And one way of doing that is through machine language techniques. And we can also make use of Python as a language. Python is very easy to use. I've learned this package for the past 3 or so months. and I've done some work. I think I might show you some of the work. I did an analysis of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange from a finance perspective using Python. I'll showcase some of the work that I've done. It only took me 3 months to embrace this new language, and I believe, like the other colleagues were saying, it's more like a drip system. You know, a sick person, when you go to a medical field, a medical hospital, you get a drip. The drip comes in small drops and drops and drops until you get cured. That's the same thing, the same concept when it comes to learning machine languages. I think if you do coding from time to time, over a span of time, you become a pro, like some of our colleagues in this house. There are so many machine language algorithms that you can embrace. Things like linear regression, logistic regression, linear discriminant algorithms. We also have nonlinear algorithms like classification, regression trees, naive Bayes, k-nearest neighbor, support vector machines. Basically, when we talk of machine language processing, it's classified into 3 broad categories. We've got classification issues, we've got clustering issues, and we've got reinforced learning or unsupervised learning. Then we also have ensemble algorithms. Ensemble algorithms is just a combination of different algorithms for everyday use, for everyday programming. Then the key thing that we should also take cognizance of is reproducible research. One thing that I've noticed from my experience as a lecturer is that most people, whenever they present their dissertation or their thesis, people cannot reproduce whatever they have done. So it's very clear, it's very essential that as you do your coding, be a game changer and code in a different way. Come up with reproducible work or reproducible documents. State how you go through each and every process, present your data package so that whoever would want to go through whatever you have done can also do it and replicate your studies in the same manner and get the same results. So reproducible research is more like the trendy stuff when it comes to research, which is the most trendy stuff when it comes to business intelligence. So I would advise us all to take that route. I want to talk about the data analytic maturity model. We've got 4 key steps that I want you to understand this afternoon, right from the lower level of descriptive analytics, right to prescriptive analytics. As well from my experience in the academic field, I've noted that most of our research is more descriptive in nature. You find people are reporting on past issues. People cannot infer into the future. People cannot focus or predict into the future. Most research is more descriptive in nature. I think in our midst we've got students, we've got research scientists. Let's move from descriptive analytics right to prescriptive analytics. So descriptive analytics, in short, looks at what happened. So we are reporting on past trends. Then the next step is diagnostic analytics. We are now looking at why did it happen. That's where you find explanatory factors for whatever you have found or for the different phenomena that you have found. Then we move on to insight. In between insight and foresight, we've got predictive analytics. It's more like the trendy stuff nowadays. How can you infer from past historical trends and come up with the proper decisions for future business operations? So predictive analytics will look at what is likely to happen in the foreseeable future, given past trends, given past cycles, given past cycles. Then at the top, we've got what we call prescriptive analytics. How can we make it happen? Now that we've known what has happened, why it happened, and what's likely to happen, how best can we make it happen? So you'd find that is more like the highest epitome of our research field, the highest point of research or the highest point of programming. Do not just program for the sake of programming, but program to infer and to describe on policy, program to make a difference in our everyday business operations. You'll find people are just doing programming for the sake of programming. It's a pity that most of our programmers in Zimbabwe are playing at the lower levels of this maturity model. Most people just like to do descriptive stuff because it's easy. Once you get your data, you can quickly analyze it and give statistics out. But that's not the best thing to do. We need to move on further. So I'm saying this afternoon, be a game changer. Up your game from being a descriptive analytic to being a prescriptive analytic. I'll give an example of our situation in Zimbabwe. We've got a myriad of economic challenges. So many challenges that have been dealing us as a nation. But we've got vast programmers around. Where are they and what are they doing? I know it's good to come up with your games. I've read, what was this program package that you're talking about, the jungle? Games and things like that is very wonderful. You can make money, you can do everything. But be a problem solver. We've got a lot of problem admirers in Zimbabwe, but lack of problem, a few problem solvers. We get rewarded according to the level of problems we resolve. I'll give you an example. I've got a colleague who is based in Zimbabwe. I think I once mentioned about it when I was doing his presentation. He's working on a self-less driving car, which will be launched next year. Those are game changers. If you embrace such ideas, if you embrace such attitudes, our level of game is up and we play at the international field or international level. We've got that same guy is also doing analysis for France, water reticulation systems. He's planning all the piping systems, the water reticulation system, piping systems, reservoir issues, reservoir modeling, etc. And it's being done in Zimbabwe. So it is all about at what level you want to play your game at. I think Mike and Petrus will agree with me. We get rewarded according to the level of problems we resolve. Zimbabwe has got so many challenges at the present day moment. And it's not a pity that you are in Zimbabwe, or it's not unfortunate that you are in Zimbabwe at this point in time, but it is for your own advantage, it's for your own growth. There are so many opportunities that we can exploit using these technologies. He was talking about accounting, I'm talking about finance, some are into computer science, some are into agriculture. There are so many applications that we can make use of to better Zimbabwe. So let's up our game, big game changers for Zimbabwe. I know supercomputing has come on board. We now have a facility in Zimbabwe. Some of you might not have visited that facility, but we now have a facility called Zimbabwe Center for High Computing, ZCHPC. It's a 36 teraflop storage computing facility. It's based at the University of Zimbabwe. It's free for everyone. You can just open your account, get your stuff going on, do your analytics. Whoever, as long as you are a Zimbabwean or a foreigner, is something that can contribute to Zimbabwe's growth, you are most welcome at that facility. So there are so many things happening, but it is all about our attitude. Do we really want to move on? Do we really want to up our game? Or we want to stick down at the descriptive stage and drop at the descriptive stage? Or we want to up our game to the prescriptive stage? There's a lot that is going on. If you look at board note issues, for example, we've got so many data scientists in Zimbabwe, but only a few have got the guts to go and approach people like Minister Chinamasa, ask for data, ask for everything that they would need, resources to do analysis, and be contributive to national policy making. Don't just limit yourself to games and games alone, or to e-commerce and things like that. We've got bigger issues to resolve, and it is our duty as data scientists to resolve such things. You'll notice a few of us have had a reason to move right from the descriptive stage to the prescriptive stage. I will jump on this one because I've already talked about it. We've got so many applications that we can invest or that we can exploit for our own advantage as data scientists or as Pythonizers or whichever term we want to use. We've got mining, for example. There was a recent case that 15 billion worth of diamonds or whatever was stolen from Zimbabwe, etc. But who knows how much is left in Zimbabwe. So if we use our technology, geosciences technology, geoengineering technology, oil exploration technologies, we can get to assess how much is left in our coffers and we can do the best planning out of it. It's not about voodooism to think maybe Chiapas still has so much in our coffers, but if we embrace our technology, if we embrace our IT skills, if we embrace our data scientist skills for the benefit of our nation, we'll go far and will not cry about everything that we are crying about. The bond note issues, we could have done an analysis as data scientists, in fact, and give recommendations to the RBZ government and tell them if we are to take the bond route approach, 1 or 2, 3 implications are likely to come out of it. as data scientists. That's been real, and that's been what we should be as data scientists. We need to add more value and add more value to our everyday operations as a nation, or even at national, even at firm level, or at institutional level, or even at your own individual capacity. Try to come up with something that value adds to our everyday life. We talk of health. We've got so much data on DNAs, but no one is ever bothered to do drug discovery. Most of the medicine that we are using is being donated by far-off countries to Zimbabwe. ARVs that work in the United States might not be the best ones that work for our local people because of different DNA structures. But we've got data scientists at our disposal. What are they doing? We do not know. It's time that we become game changers. It's time that we embrace this technology and contribute to our own nation's growth. We talk of weather and climate forecasting. I'm happy to report that on this one, we are doing so well. You find that most of our weather forecasts nowadays fall within the 1 day span, and they are very correct and very accurate. Why? They are now making use of that high computing center that I mentioned about, and our predictions have improved. We talk of agriculture. How can we do yield forecasting? IT programmers can do that for us. We do not need to run and we do not need to wander or to do voodoo science when we've got programmers like you in our disposal at our national levels. Let's contribute to our national issues and contribute in a much better way. We can talk of civil protection, anyone in science. How best can we know about floods coming on board before they happen? How best can we know about earthquakes before they happen? Anyone in science. How can we know about financial market crashes before they happen? It's all based in computer science, and we are the people that can do that for us. So let's just up our level of game. Be a game changer. Don't be ordinary. Be extraordinary. See differently. Don't do what everyone is doing, but have your own part and do it differently for our nation's sake. We've got industry, manufacturing, computer-aided drafting and designing. It's also a backbone of industry, IT industry. What are we doing? We are still assembling products from other countries. Why can't we have our own models? Why can't we develop our own models? Why can't we develop our own phone systems, mobile systems, etc.? We are the backbone of Zimbabwe when it comes to the IT industry. So let's try to push it up and level up our level playing field. We talk of statistics. We find every time the census is done, people are moving with papers, and by the time we try to assemble and to collect all the information that they would have collected, trying to make inferences out of it, it is a milestone approach. Maybe we might hit the next census before we are done. But when we have people like you, data scientists, analysts, IT analysts, programmers of choice, why can't we up our level of game and be contributive to such things? We can do census within a week and we are done. How many of you were following the US elections? How long did it take them to bring out results? They were automatic.
They just said
most likely Trump is in. He must be a Trump advocate. But the idea that I'm trying to drive on is we can do a lot with our data programming skills. There are vast opportunities out there. She was talking of freelancing. There are so many opportunities out there. I've just mentioned a couple of them, from mining to health, drug discovery, weather forecasting, industry initiatives, manufacturing initiatives, finance and economics. There is so much that we can do. Most of us like to do media and broadcasting issues. That's where the game things come into play, and design our own, cartoons. We have our own CN, cartoon networks, etc. That's where most of us are just centering on, coming up with our own web pages. But that is, in my own understanding, I know I'm from a finance background, but I can tell that should be one of the lowest levels of programming when it comes to cartoon generation, web development, website development. Let's up our game and address bigger and higher issues. The more we address bigger and higher issues, the more we are rewarded, the more money comes into our coffers. Let's be patient. Let's take the drip approach. Bit by bit, we'll get there until we become masters of Python, masters of everything. And when it comes to academic research, we are also taking that route of incorporating Python within our teaching field. Choice and attitude are the two key things. It's all about choice. Do you want to remain at the descriptive analytics stage and rot at that level, or you'd want to up your game and be a game changer and infer on data, prescribe or give insight on policy? It's all about choice. It's all about attitude. So it is all about what you stand for, what you live for, what's your purpose. Do you want to rot at the lower level, or you want to up your game and be a person who's recognized in the industry, local industry, international industry? Let's embrace artificial intelligence techniques. I was talking to Mike and we were saying, boardroom politics, people believe if people make decisions, it's better than when decisions are made by robots or about artificial intelligence. But let me tell you, the era that we are moving into is highly artificial intelligence. We mimic the brain, we do everything that we can do, come up with the rightful decisions, and we move on as a country, we move on as Python specialists, we move on as programmers. Artificial intelligence, machine language issues are becoming the trendy hot stuff of today's century. It is a privilege to be in Zimbabwe at such a time like this. Let's just change our level playing field. Let's up our game, be a game changer. Supercomputing is already arrived in Zimbabwe, but few are utilizing that opportunity. Few are capitalizing on that. So let's embrace such technologies and move forth and go ahead. It's time to make a mark and leave a legacy. What are you going to be remembered for? You have been a data scientist or a programmer for years, but what is it that people will remember you for? So it's time that we up our game and play at a higher level. In academia, we say publish or you perish. If you don't publish, you perish. I think for this conference, I'll say Pythonize and progress. Pythonize and progress. Let's up our level playing field and be a game changer. I thank you. Let me just quickly show you what I did in 3 months, my 3 months of Python work, where I took the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange data. The beauty about Python is you've got visualization ability. You can see what you are currently doing as you program alone. So I took data, I took all the stocks or all the counters at the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So this is our data frame head. It's picking up the first 5 or so counters. Still the same thing. Then we're just preparing our data and looking at the float types. We've got integers, float systems, objects, etc. But for our Zimbabwe stock data, we're talking of float 64 variables. And these are some of the visualization aspects of Python. You can actually tell this was a comparison between Econet and Delta. You'd find Econet and Delta are moving in the same direction. So if you are a finance guru or if you are into investments, once you pick Econet stock, then you should also pick Delta stock because they are moving in the same in the same direction. You are bound to benefit out of it. But if we're not to have such facilities like Python, we can never tell of such things. So it's not about gut feeling, I need to pick this stock or that stock, but whatever you do as an investment manager, it has to be supported by science. And Python is part of it. As an interpretive language, it's part of it. So we went on to look at value added at risk, some of our plots, and we also did some simulations. What are the possible outcomes that can come out of it? Monte Carlo simulations. If today's stock is at 100, what is it likely to be tomorrow? You remember in finance, so I'm now turning to my field, we've got what we call the CAPM, Capital Asset Pricing Model. where it takes future cash flows, tries to discount them today's term. But most of us, when we do that, we are just projecting from, I don't know from what basis, because we don't know what's likely to happen tomorrow. But if you simulate, you've got a number of possible initiatives that you can play with. Then you come up with the projected, correct projections for everyday decision making. This is just a tiny bit of it. If I could do this in 3 months, what more about you guys who have been in the IT field for 10 years, decades, and even spanning more than decades? Where are you and what are you doing? It's time we level. It's time we up our playing field and be great contributors to Zimbabwe. I thank you.
Powerful indeed. Questions? Questions?
You said it took you 3 months to learn how to use Python for data analysis. Okay. So what do you need really to be a data scientist? The skill set now.
The skill set. Like I said, it's all about choice. The more you are committed to this process, the better you become. It's not like a one-off event, like I explained, but it's more like a drip system. Day by day, programming will get you somewhere.
I just want to know how much money did you make from those stocks that you were picking? And are you going to use that money for sponsoring the next bike on Zim?
Thank you, Petrus. The results are not yet out. We are still trying to perfect this whole exercise. We are still trying to look at what other algorithms can I embrace on, especially the non-parametric algorithms, because stock markets are quite non-linear, chaotic, and everything like that. So it's still work in progress. If it comes out and we can now predict, we'll be free to advise all for a fee.
I wanted to ask, how familiar are you with natural language processing?
I haven't tried that at all.
Okay. I wanted to ask something to do with that. It's okay.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but in the near future, I'm looking at sentiment analysis. I think it's part of it, where you take stock feeds from your website and try to analyze that. It's part of the project that I'm working on. Yeah, so I'll do sentiment analysis in the near future as well.
Okay. For an economy like Zimbabwe, right? Mm-hmm. I believe it's quite volatile, right? So how exactly can you use predictive analysis to predict where, like, certain stocks will be, let's say 3 years from now, based on the current data you have, right?
The beauty about artificial intelligence is if you expose it to enough data. So your data has to be in time series nature over a long time of period. You divide your data into 3 key classes. You've got your training set, your validation set, and your test set. So if you expose it to enough data, it can learn out of that data to make inferences into the future. They might not be 100% correct, but they are near there. And it's better than human decisions.
So the input data you'll be placing, right, in your data set, will it be only for the stocks, or would it also include other external factors, right, that affect the stock price?
Definitely, it's a combination of factors. Besides historical stock prices, you might also want to look at macroeconomic issues. We've got things like inflation, industrial production, money supply. They all affect our stock prices in different ways, oil prices, etc. So it's a combination of factors.
Thank you for a well-done presentation.
You're welcome.
My question is, since this millennium age, IT is changing our daily lives and the way we do our business processes, how can data analytics have an effect, or what are the effects of data analytics on marketing, since IT is changing on a daily basis and most companies are now using social media marketing?
Thank you for your question. I think if we embrace data analytics into our everyday operations, we would go far. If you remember, I think during my first slides, I said, in order not to only survive, but to excel, we need to go the data-driven route. So it's a must for every organization if it needs to sell in the foreseeable future. If we continue doing the things we used to do, we will not go far. At times, we need to change our research lenses or the way we look at things. Until and unless you change the way you see things, not much can come out of it. But if you embrace data, analytics from now onwards, I think it's going to be a big game changer for all of us. And operations will do much more than what they're currently doing. If you Google on the benefits of data analytics for any other foreign firm that you can think of, it's working wonders. You was talking about Google, Facebook, all these organizations are using machine language programming, and they're making millions and millions of dollars.
Thank you very much. My second question is, in a volatile economy like in Zimbabwe, how can firms use data analytics in their marketing?
Okay.
What effect does it have?
It's the same effect. If we don't go the data analytic route, we will perish soon as firms. No wonder why most of our firms are closing down every day, because they don't have a strong basis on which to make their decisions from. But once we embrace data-driven technologies, then we are going somewhere. And this issue of company closures and things like that, it will be a thing of the past.
Thank you.
I got two questions. First question is to do about the supercomputer. You said it's at the University of Zimbabwe. How can we access it? Do we have the contact for whoever we may speak with for us to be able to use it?
What I can basically do is, for the same group, the same PyCon conference group for 2016, organize a date that you are free to attend that venue. I'll organize a trip for you.
Okay, cool. Some of the resources you used, you said you did all the work in 3 months? I mean, what you used, you specifically.
Of it, I can't tell.
Okay.
But that was the course that I took.
Okay, cool. Any more questions?
And journals also have read as many journals as you can, because that's where you find the most recent stuff, the most recent trade stuff in your own field. So the journal book also helps in view and beauty or strengthening your background. That's the other course that I took.
How were you able to convince Zetas to give you that? What's the time? I think they are very stingy with it.
How was I able to?
How are you able to make ZSC cooperate?
ZSC, in terms of data?
Yes.
You just go through the normal application thing. You request data, where you want to use it, and promise to share your findings with them. Maybe I was just fortunate enough, but that's what it doesn't normally talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, can you say you were able to come to a stage to make predictions?
We are in the process. I'm still in the process of doing it.
I see. Don't you have any preliminary data? Well, I would like to ask, so far, in your analysis, since you are what would you say is a hidden gem on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange?
What is it?
A hidden gem. Of the companies right now, the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, from the data that you currently have.
I've got no results yet.
Well, you need to ask when you have it.
I'm still working on my algorithms. I think the first accuracy rate that I got was around 40%. So I'm still trying to do that because it's not something that I can recommend anyone But when it gets to about 90 or so percent, then feel free to approach them, then I'll let you know this is a
We want to buy those shares and make money. Any more questions? Oh, thank you so much.
Welcome.